Hey, Gym Nation family, what is up? How is everyone? We are going to get started with our live tonight, bringing everyone up to speed as to what I talked about earlier. So, if you missed what I talked about earlier, that we should be on the lookout for, it was a speech that happened on the 16th. So today is the 18th, so 2 days ago, Thursday, with Stephen Miller. And we're going to play some of it because, speaking of, let me go ahead and put this banner. Um, because he pretty much spells out in plain English what we can expect in the future. First, let me quickly reintroduce myself. What is up, everyone? I am Kim, aka Kim with the Gems. This channel, we're all about staying ready so we don't have to get ready. Rather, it's through finances, travel, making sure your documents are in order, having options and plans in place. Then that's what we're going to talk about. So, like I said, tonight we're going to start with someone I really did not want to start with, but I think after we listen to the words that are literally coming out of his mouth, things will start to make even more sense. And so, feel free to put your comments, any concerns that you have, put it in, the chat box because it gets a little intense at times. And again, I don't like to focus on this stuff, but I want my entire community to be aware of all of the warnings that he literally laid out. So let me go ahead and bring up, you know what? I'm going to play the audio and probably just show a picture because I don't want any problems. It's, government information, so I shouldn't have any problems um, playing this, but you just never know. And I don't want it to get suppressed. It probably will, but I'm going to try to stack the odds in my favor that it doesn't. So I'm just going to bring up his picture. Oh, sorry, y'all. I am going to bring up his picture and then play the audio. And let me know if you have a problem hearing the audio. Um, hmm. I'm just gonna, here we go. And can you see? Yeah, all right. Let me, let me just bring the picture in. There we go. Oh, sorry again. Okay, so let me turn the comments. I kind of want to show the comments on the stage so you guys can see. Let me make it a little bigger so you guys can see what the comments are. Oh, hey, seriously. Yes, I am back. I am back. It was important to come back now. Very important. And you will agree. Whoever hasn't heard this already, I'm trying to just focus on this picture right here. Okay. Here we go. So, good. Seriously, you're here. Let me know if you have a problem hearing the audio. Now, the crazy thing is, they have muted part of his speech that appears online. I am going to try to play one that I think may still be, oh gosh, I hope it is unedited. I wanted to try to download it before it got edited. So let me see. No, that one's the edited one. You know what? Let's go ahead and just get started. I don't want this to be, too long-winded history. Let me just find. Let me see. And we've talked about, I don't think I need to do an introduction as to who this man is. We've talked about him a lot on this channel. Okay, this may be it. This may be the unedited one. Yes. Okay, I think I found it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you have a problem hearing. I'm about to play the audio now. I'm gonna speed it up a little. Can someone let me know if you were able to hear his words? Just say yes or no. I don't want to continue if you can't hear. No one wants to help your girl out? Okay, somebody just responded. No? Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play it from my phone. I don't know why you can't hear it, but I'm going to play it from my phone. And actually, before I play it, I do want to call out just some of the key points of um, so Marco Rubio basically started and introduced Stephen Miller. And I just want to call out some of the points that he made. And it's all about the growing international terrorist threat, as well as, if you read between the lines, domestic terrorist threats. And so he claimed that governments, media, and institutions have excused or minimized violence when it advances left wing political causes. He argued that the Lord Jesus, it's the wine, y'all. Ideological sympathy has led many officials to treat some violent acts as legitimate political expression rather than terrorism. He says political terrorism is increasing. According to him, extremist groups coordinate across borders, share tactics, financing, and support networks, making international cooperation necessary. So he's asking for global cooperation to combat this right before the midterm elections, right? But his delivery was a much softer delivery than the one that you are about to hear right now. And we're going to pause just a couple times to pull out just certain key phrases that we need to pay really close attention to. And not only that, I want you to listen. And as you're listening, just think about, oh, I thought I brought my phone. Give me 1 second. I did have my phone. Oh, I was sitting on my phone. I want you to think about January 6th and what happened at the Capitol. And just the irony of the words that are being uttered by this man. So I'm going to play it now. And again, I want to play it on like 1.5 speed. Let me pause that and speed it up a little. And then I'll see your comments. So as you have comments, go ahead, feel free to put them in because I'll be checking the comment section if you have any.
Good morning, distinguished leaders and guests. It's good to see so many familiar faces. And thank you, of course, to Secretary
Okay, I may have to slow that down. Hold on.
organizing this conference and for leading this initiative. Here in the United States, we have taken the necessary and essential action of formally recognizing left-wing violence as a form of political terrorism that is a direct threat to our national security and the survival of our Republican form of government. President Trump issued a directive. In our parlance, it's called a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, NSPM 7 to be exact, that directs, for the first time in American history, all of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists.
I'm going to replay that part. And I'm going to try to type in the words because these are going to matter. And so let me just go back just a little. I hope I can tell. Okay. Is that 109? Let me go. Give me 1 second.
To our national security and the survival of our Republican form of government. President Trump issued a directive. In our parlance, it's called a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, NSPM 7 to be exact, that directs, for the first time in American history, all of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country. It's very important to understand that left-wing political terrorism seeks as its ultimate end the overthrow of our system and form of government. And we've seen this has taken place many times in many places throughout the years, and Secretary Rubio has provided you many examples. Left-wing terrorism always ends in bloodshed, misery, and suffering. It only can travel in one direction. There's no point at which the left-wing terrorist is satisfied with his gains and ceases progressing.
Okay, so as we are listening, oh, hey, everybody. Exactly. Okay, so, hey, seriously, welcome back, LJ. Good to see you in the building. Listen, Thought Optics. Like, it's literally how they co-opt everything. Okay, how come I'm not? Okay. They co-opt everything from like the word woke to what they are classifying left-wing terrorist. But it gets worse because he's going to expand not just the groups. So think of what they are trying to get people to believe about Antifa, anti-fascism, right? And how they sentence this group of people to like 100 years for some of the most made up charges. But let's continue to listen. Oh, hey, Christine, welcome back. Listen. Exactly. Was it like they're trying to incite in addition to just utter BS. They want to incite anger. They want to incite rage so that they can then classify these people because, hey, Tabasco, good to see you back in the building. Welcome. But let's just listen. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to enter some of the key phrases that he used because I want you to have a record of this. And I also want you to go ahead, listen again when you can during your own time. And when I wrote about ish really hitting the fan, literally, like we literally have people ishing their guts out right now. And this man is spewing a whole bunch of ish through this speech that just happened 2 days ago. But let's continue to listen.
Inevitably, left to run its course, it always becomes a gulag. It always becomes the mass imprisonment of political enemies, the stripping of their rights and freedoms, inflicting immense pain, humiliation, suffering, in order to establish complete and total control through psychological and physical and actual terror. And we have to understand that that is the scope and the extent of the threat that we face. As Secretary Rubio also pointed out, this is an international network. Antifa, as an example, operates in dozens of countries all throughout the world. They share common networks of funding, organization and information sharing. And so all of our intelligence agencies and law enforcement entities should be collaborating and coordinating and working together in order to root out these organizations.
Now, did you hear that?
One of the hallmarks of
I talked about this when I did my last couple of lives. Like, when I say to y'all, this is going to be a collaborative effort. This is just not the federal government. This will be the state government. This will be the local city governments that all will fall in line because they're too scared to stand up. They're too scared to say no. And then some of them just quite honestly want to get down like this. And so as you listen, we're thinking broad, right? Like he's talking movements and leftist terrorists, right? But as he continues to talk about family values and people, listen with your third eye, listen with clean ears, and you will hear exactly who he's really referencing.
Violence and terrorism is its completely pretextual and disingenuous appeal to civil liberties in an effort to shield its own violence. This is the tactic that the left always uses to try to protect itself from facing criminal punishment. It is essential that we are wise enough and strong enough to understand that these appeals must fall on deaf ears. When the leftist, who does not believe in freedom, who does not believe in civil rights, who does not believe in any ordered notion of justice, protests that we are violating his rights, understand that he is lying to try to persuade people who are not closely following the political scene that some injustice has been perpetrated against him.
Think DEI. Think all of these initiatives. I don't know if you heard about the recent, which college was it? Was it Duke? It was a college in North Carolina where a Black family was donating or had an endowment that went specifically to underprivileged minority students. They were told they can no longer exclusively offer their money to disenfranchised minority students. And I'm not sure if it was just Black students or if it was Black, Hispanic, but it definitely was not white students, right? They had to take their money out. They literally was like, no, well, then give us our money back. Because the school wanted them to just go along. Keep donating now. But we're going to tell you who's going to be the recipient of your donations. And we'll talk about one of those that story later in the week, because we have quite a few stories to go over. But tonight's focus is literally the hate that this man is about to spew. But listen clearly. Don't listen and get angry. Listen to stay ready. So let's continue. It's not a long video, so we'll continue.
We must stay the course and be completely unflinching in the pursuit of justice against these enemies of civilization.
Enemies of civilization.
If the left is allowed to use the real or actual threat of violence to destabilize our institutions, then those institutions cannot and will not succeed. So here in the United States, for example, we saw in the recent past clear threats of violence against our Supreme Court to try to shape how they rule on upcoming decisions. The left
violence against the Supreme Court. Violence against the Supreme Court. But it's going to get worse, y'all. It's going to get worse.
This does this with the full desire, intent, and understanding that the threat of violence against a public figure or their family is meant to cow them into behaving or acting or conducting themselves differently.
Now, this is where they mute. So I have to find out what he was talking about at the 4-minute, 36-second
mark. The combination of a violent left-wing organization threatening our nation's highest court and the federal government and the Department of Justice turning a blind eye to it. Those are the conditions in which this kind of violence can fester as a cancer and ultimately destroy a society. Nothing that we do works if the threat of violence and terror goes on unchecked. Our political systems don't work, our judicial systems don't work, our legal systems don't work, our jury trials don't work. At the same time, we have to understand there's a real threat that those who are not themselves terrorists, but who support left-wing violence.
This is where it expands. It expands. So even if they don't can't find the evidence to deem that you are a terrorist, a left-wing terrorist, as they're classifying it, if they can pinpoint you as supporting. He doesn't say what support means. Like, is it reposting? Is it financial? Because remember, he's talking about debanking. He's talking about defunding. He's talking about arresting.
Will create the conditions that allow that violence to go on without any meaningful inhibition. So, to be specific, we've seen some of our nation's cities in America, like Washington, D.C. and New York City, something, again, it's an American term, but it's known as jury nullification. This is when a person is obviously guilty of a crime, but the juror, because they're ideologically sympathetic to the perpetrator, will not sentence them for the crime which is obviously committed.
He called out D.C. and New York. I know, and I don't know if he's specifically talking about like what's going on with Letitia James or some of the other adversaries of this administration not being brought to justice, or what they, no, let me take that back. Oh, eat those words. Not being brought up on these charges that they want to bring them up on, or are they simply talking about criminal activity? I don't know. But what I do know is that we done seen more than our fair share of criminal cases that have gone, wouldn't be brought up on charges. Let's talk about Cyrus, the young brother, that it was shown he did not try to rob that gas station, was pumed in the back. And even though charges were brought up, somehow, some way, no responsibility. But again, I don't want to keep interrupting. Let's continue to listen. And again, we are listening under under fair use guidance for purpose of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as permitted by, well, it's currently permitted, child. We don't know what's going to happen in a year from now. Permitted by Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act. Let's continue.
In the United States, again and again, individuals who are part of left-wing organizations who've committed assaults against ICE officers or federal law enforcement who've been brought to court where clear evidence has been presented against them, but the jury...
ICE officers came before law enforcement. How many ICE officers have lost their lives in comparison to how many police officers? But at the top of their list is ICE officers. Pay attention, listen intently, listen again, and don't think for 1 minute this man is lying. Over a year ago, I played a video when he talked about the countries that he was going to send the people back or not allow them to come in. Damn if he didn't check on, I believe, every box. And we could listen to that on a recap video later. I forgot which video it was. It's in the Stay Ready playlist part 1, but I don't remember exactly which video. But this man ain't playing. He is not playing games. Let's go.
Has refused to convict for purely political reasons. When you've reached that point, it demonstrates how deeply the cancer has begun to infest your society, where people have created an internal rationalization structure to justify unsanctioned violence against the state and state actors to achieve a political end. We have to use every lawful and legitimate tool that we have to demonstrate.
Now, really, please listen hard, because he just said we have to use every lawful and legitimate tool that they have. Who's defining those terms? Again, keep January 6th in the back of your mind as he's uttering how, the goalposts will move based on whatever they say. That's right, shielding DHS with $1 billion plus in funding. We got to protect our babies. We really do. We really do because when we were young, I remember, taking over the administration building at Howard University, sleeping in, not letting the workers come to work. Like, I remember those days. Some demands were met. There were definitely reasons for students taking over the administration building. Local law enforcement can consider that domestic terrorism, depending on where the goalpost is, right? But let's continue.
That justice will be served and delivered, and to prove that these kinds of tactics and techniques will ultimately fail. If the leftist learns and observes that their violence and criminal activity helps and ultimately succeeds in achieving their desired political end, they will be endlessly emboldened. Here in the United States, we've seen a growing and deeply alarming increase in attempted assassinations against public figures. Most notably, of course, the multiple assassination attempts against President Trump, the successful assassination attempt against Charlie Kirk, many others.
Who are the many others? Who are the many others? Who are the many others?
Is a fatal cancer to civilization. And the greatest risk that we have is that our institutions have grown too soft and too cowardly to be able to defend themselves against a mortal threat. If your civilization is your home, you must defend it with the same passion and force as if an enemy intruder is inside your own house where your family lives. That is the level of dedication and urgency that is required. And the greatest...
I don't want to keep stopping, but I hope y'all caught that. What happens if somebody enters your home? What do you have the right to do under the current Second Amendment?
Is that even though there are far more of us, there are far more people who believe in order and civilization and liberty and the rule of law, is that if we are softer than those who seek to end us, then the smaller but more radical minority will succeed. It is easy to dismiss what I'm saying and to say, surely it cannot be that bad, it cannot be that dire. But again, I point to the examples in our own country where, for example, our Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which has been duly statutory authorized to carry out routine enforcement of immigration law, has been subjected to an over 8,000% increase in violent assaults. These are not one-off episodes. This is repeat, systemic, organized, funded insurrection and armed resistance against the federal government.
So we're not even going to go deep into what has happened this past week alone with these young men of color being literally lynched in the street. And I'll use the word lynched, even though they're not, African American or of African descent. This is justification. This is justification. They don't want anyone. Hey, Dante, welcome back, I should say. Good to see you again. I give him a little bit more. Yeah. Well, Shadow, I would say Siamese twin. Child, because who's writing this stuff? It's not 47. So I'm saying we're going to get through this, but I have to pause a couple times because, again, I definitely want to make sure that we're doing this as part of a research-based analysis under the copyright laws, the Copyright Act. But I do believe that they're trying to scare people into silence, basically. And so during this week, and like I said, we're going to come back at least 5 times this upcoming week. There are so many, to really be really transparent, what I'm realizing is a lot of people just don't know. A lot of people just don't know how serious this is. And as much as, I'm all about protecting my peace, like I said, putting my oxygen mask on first, making sure that I still am, connecting with loved ones and family and enjoying life. Let's just leave it there, enjoying life. It is too dire based on the things that are about to happen leading up to these midterms for me to not come back live. And so, like I said, at minimum 5 times this week, because there are multiple stories I want to address. There's no way I cannot not address Nolan, Carmelo, and Cyrus. There's no way that I cannot address the BS that's happening with Caitlyn and why we need to just focus on the breadcrumbs and not the distractions, like I mentioned earlier, because there's going to be distractions thrown at us left and right. There's going to be some ugliness because the goal is martial law, right? And we'll get more into that later this week, but let's get back to this speech.
There was a sniper from a sniper's nest who, using an assault rifle, tried to shoot ICE officers in Dallas, Texas. These are the episodes that we're talking about, where we have had repeated, direct, violent attacks on federal law enforcement in order to veto the ballot box with violence. And the leftist justifies this violence to himself by saying that they alone are the arbiters of what is right or wrong. Not the law, not history, not civilization, not public opinion, certainly not God. The leftist assumes for himself judge, jury, executioner. But let's not pretend for a moment that these radical leftists, these terrorists, are operating from a place of sincere political conviction. Sure, there are plenty of useful idiots that they use who may believe these discredited ideologies. The leftist is fundamentally motivated by envy, by hatred.
So, whoever's here now, I really want y'all to listen to this part. I really want you to turn off the TV, or as Kendrick says, turn the TV off and listen to this part.
By jealousy, the leftist looks at what is beautiful and what is good and what is natural and is filled with envy and hatred. The leftist looks at a perfect family with the perfect life and a perfect job and perfect kids. It goes.
Listen to the words that he's using. The leftist, the perfect family, the wife, the kids. What subset of the American population is least likely to be married? Like, understand that these are signals. Signals. He's not talking about leftist people who are Democrats. People, again, let's just listen.
Church every Sunday and is filled with a feeling of inadequacy and jealousy, and they covet, and they turn those emotions ultimately into a desire to subjugate, to oppress, and to inflict pain and suffering. It's not a coincidence that when you look at these violent Antifa demonstrations, you see any photograph of those who were assembled. To be blunt, not one of the people that is demonstrating looks like a normal person. Not one looks normal. They're all deformed in some way in their appearance.
I'm going to rewind that a little, because if this ain't the pot calling the kettle, good Lord. But delusion of grandeur. Yeah, exactly, Dante. Dog whistling. Exactly, Christine. A lot of people are going to be caught off guard. A lot of people are easy to be distracted. They want to pay attention to. Listen, I was distracted by the Knicks finally winning a championship. I was all in during the NBA Finals and championship run, but there's so many more distractions. Like I said, we talked about, like, Caitlin Clark is a distraction. What else did we talk about? We talked about Caitlin Clark. We talked about this whole, spin that being the song of the summer BS. Like, I mean, anyway, but I'm going to rewind just a little bit of that because I think it's important.
Ultimately into a desire to subjugate, to oppress, and to inflict pain and suffering. It's not a coincidence that when you look at these violent Antifa demonstrations, you see any photograph of those who were assembled, to be blunt, not one of the people that is demonstrating looks like a normal person. Not one looks normal. They're all deformed in some way, in their appearance, in their dress, in their mannerism. Why is that? Why? You look at two photographs and you see a normal American street, you see an Antifa protest. Why did the people that are violently demonstrating, why is there not one normal looking person among them? Every one of them, through the course of their life and their decisions, has scarred their body and their appearance in many different ways, to the point in which their outer appearance becomes a manifestation of their inner.
He's saying the outer appearance becomes a manifestation of their inner feelings and all of that. So when I came on like a month ago, maybe longer, and talked about if there's any noticeable tats, if your child is wearing anything other than what he's talking or defining as normal, so locks, braids, twist, if and I want to be really careful when I say this because I'm a proud Black American. I wish we were at a place where we could wear our hair any type of way and it not matter. And that whole Crown Act was really something that we could lean into. But our babies can't, because he is telling the secret. The people he's describing as Antifa are deformed. His definition of being deformed is tattoos. It's your hair not looking like normal families that he just described. Please, believe me when I say this, I would never come on here imploring parents, grandparents to have their children, grandchildren suppress things like, their hair or tats, right? This is a different time. They're targets. They're now seen as suspects. He talked about even if they're not domestic terrorists, right? Not domestic, he said leftist terrorism. They may be supporters of, which is in their mind, I won't even say in their mind, in their BS approach, is just as bad. Let's continue.
Hatred. Trust your instincts to all people and across all civilizations. You know what normal is. You know what beautiful is. You know what good is. You know that families are right. You know that children are precious and beautiful and must be protected.
So do you hear the contradiction? He said across all civilizations, what normal is. Native Americans, normal was tattooing their skin. African Americans, natural hair, locks. His definition of normal has nothing to do with across civilization. It has to do with his view, his very linear view of what normal is. I stopped this, so I'm just going to rewind it a little bit. Hold on a second. Okay, let's go.
You know that the criminal and the junkie and the predator is a threat to normal, healthy living. This is so much deeper than issues about tax.
The criminal, the junkie. Black men are disproportionately incarcerated at the highest numbers. What is it, 70% or higher of prisons are filled with Black men. The junkie, he's not talking about the people in middle America that's on opioids. No, that's not who he's talking about.
Taxation and regulation, although they're incredibly important. It's about normal, healthy, ordered living. And the violent leftists, for these deep-seated reasons, going back to the earliest wisdom taught to us in the Bible about coveting. And I'm not talking about rich versus poor. I'm talking about a much deeper kind of coveting. Coveting people who are morally superior, who are superior in the simple, truthful way they live their lives. People that they look at who are happy and ordered and peaceful and contributing to the communities. That
ain't nobody more happy than us. Nobody more happy and joy through all the BS that we have been put through, that we continue to be put through than us. And they can't stand it. They can't stand it. But again, co opting that, stealing that. The DEI, let's talk DEI. I'm in South Carolina. Lindsey Graham, gone wherever he gone, right? I'm not going to make no judgments. I am not God, right? We could assume or presume, right? But I don't know. Sister automatically gets sworn in with no experience. DEI.
Burns an ember in them, and that's how you end up with the horrors we've seen throughout history, where good families are dragged out into the street and executed. And you might say, again, you're describing a future that seems impossible to conceive of. When it comes to preventing these horrors, it is the burden and the duty of good people of all walks of life to understand that you will always be accused of raising the alarm too loudly. If you wait until the point where the worst outcome is so obvious that no one can deny it, you've already lost the battle. That's the fundamental point. If you say, I will not raise this alarm until the threat is so present and so clear and so...
So let me just say this. Although, as Dante said, insane ramblings, this is the one area where I'm going to say, stay ready. He's talking about staying ready, right? Going on, oh my gosh, 18, I don't even remember, almost 2 years ago, right? We started in November, so I may be a little ahead, right? But a year and a half plus ago. This is exactly the same message that I wanted to relate to us. He's talking about, okay, this ain't it now. But even though it's ramblings, as Dante said, but this is what he's selling. This is the car that he's trying to sell to us, right? But the point is, he's basically doing a stay ready so we don't have to get ready. So we're gonna plan now to be prepared. So if you need to pum somebody, just as if they walked in your house and you had the right to under the Second Amendment, we're preparing. This is the mindset that they have and that I need us to have. I'm not saying that it's all doom and gloom, because it won't be for the people that's prepared and or ready and or prepare their children and their children's children and their, communities and build community. But for so many of us that are sleepwalking through this whole situation, that's where my angst, my spirit is not at rest.
Obvious and so imminent that none can deny it. It's already too late. It's already too late. I would rather prevent a threat from occurring and be accused for the rest of my life of having falsely raised the alarm, knowing in myself that I was right, than for fear of being judged, having waited too long until the point of no return has been crossed. The good news is that we are far away from the point of no return. So all of us should organize together and work together for the good and the benefit of all the people in our societies, of all walks of life, of all persuasions, to deliver for them what they are justly entitled to, which is to live with safety, with fundamental human dignity, and with the ability to live in peace and harmony with their families and neighbors. Thank you all, and God bless.
Okay, y'all. I definitely have so much to say about, let me see what y'all are saying. I definitely have so much to say about this speech, and we'll definitely come back to it over the next, let's get rid of this right here. I'm sorry, y'all. Over, the next 5 days, this week coming up. But there was so much to unpack there. And like I said, the breadcrumbs are here. We're just not listening to it. They're distracting us from these type of speeches. And we're focused on Jay-Z's 30th anniversary tour. We're focused on him keeping the crowds waiting for 3.5 hours. I have friends who live in St. Louis that's talking about this. the distractions are so Diddy coming home, and I bet you he will be released. Another distraction. We absolutely need to follow the breadcrumbs. Christine says he's also talking about the plastic surgery, BBL culture too, and colorful wigs, not natural. Child, well, then he needs to start with them Kardashians, is all I'll say, because between North and her blue hair and, the aunties with all their works. But yeah, crazy how these demons are always using the Bible. Child. Listen, talk about them files, those EP files. The end of that was saying the quiet part out loud. I think, yeah, the second half, if you just take out leftist terrorist or terrorism and insert Black and brown people, we have front row seats to a KKKKKKKKK meeting. We have front row seats to that. And there's other things that are being said. I know, they're definitely going to try to invalidate Warnoff in Atlanta and the whole voting system in Atlanta and other states, blue states. There's going to be a lot more to come. We're going to talk about, the ruling of the no more protective status for Haitian immigrants. We're going to talk about the fact that the only people that have received refugee status since this man has taken office have been South Africaners, not South Africans, South Africaners. We're going to talk about quite a few things. Just once again, because I think, there'll be some people new to the channel. There'll be some people who need just a refresher. My flawless community, we will be reconvening, for a catch up. And that will probably happen the last week in July. So be on the lookout for an email. But I just want to, once again, just underscore the fact that when I came on talking about, and I was even hesitant because, like I said, I'm a HBCU grad. I'm natural right now, and I'm glad. So many of you know I've been on a detox since January 2nd, but it really didn't go into full force until January 4th. Since I've been in the South, I've kind of, backslid on the food part. But the one thing I have noticed is like the skin toxins, all of that I have still stayed, pretty clean with. The clarity that you get, the focus that you get when you rid yourself. And let me just also say, when you start to be in tune, I did not anticipate doing a full detox for 6 months. But guess what? Like I said, God did. God anticipated that. There's this whole parasite bug. There's a whole bug that people are getting that is laying them down, cleaning their guts, their everything. And the better in shape, and I don't mean physical, like you're buffed or anything like that, but the better in shape from a gut health perspective you are, the more likely you are to overcome any of those issues. And so my clarity is real. Like, I'm not even going to try to, like I said, bold is the new basic for me in 2026. I'm not going to hide behind my clarity. When I get messages or downloads or whatever it is that pushes me to do things that I'm like, why am I doing this? Now listen, the gray hair, I can't take it no more. Y'all see all this gray hair, I can't do this. God, I'm praying on it, but I can't do it. I got to go back. But I'm gonna do natural. I'm gonna do a natural rinse, and child, I just can't do it anymore. But I want us to be as clear and clean and ready for what's to come. Stay ready. Stay ready. I'm not saying that you have to be on a whole 10-year cleanse or detox. but get your body ready. Get rid of those things that are we have so many carcinogenics in our food. It is disgusting. I did a whole video on that. I'm not going to talk about that. But from the rooter to the tutor, from the head to the toe to the backside, everything we are consuming out of convenience a lot of times is a carcinogenic, and we got to stop that. We got to stop that if we want to be around or if we want to be healthy. And let me just see what y'all are saying, and then we will get up out of here. We lost the VRA since the last time we chatted. What's VRA? How come? I don't listen. I ain't even gonna lie. I've been drinking. I didn't drink earlier, so I was like, I wanted some wine tonight. But what's VRA? They want to get rid of. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. John Ossoff. Yeah, so they're trying to discredit that whole election. This is precisely. Hey, A. Davis 3657. This is precisely why they put all that garbage in our foods and products. They want people sick, broken, dead. Yeah, and dependent. And very dependent. Oh, thank you. Okay. Shh. Don't tell nobody I didn't know what that acronym stood for. Yeah, exactly. So I have a list of things that I definitely want us to talk about, especially as it relates to leading up to the election. And my overall take is you're only as free as your options. If ish hits the fan, what are your options? Are you even saving seats? Like, if you don't plan on going nowhere, if you plan on, hunkering down and staying put, do you have seats? Do you have a place that you can turn to if you need a food resource? Do you have someone you can, if you need to build community? Like, what is your next plan? Without one, you're not free. You're not free. You're not. And so while, I am a high proponent of having an option to move abroad if you can, if you need to, if you want to, I realize that only 36% of Black people have a passport. So y'all ain't going with the 64% ain't going nowhere outside of the US. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just saying, like, all these people that keep trying to say, okay, everybody needs to move abroad. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. And there's a lot of reasons why some people can't get passports. Another one of the conversations that we're going to have is all of the changes that they're making that are meant to target us. So okay, I understand if you owe back child support in the hundreds of thousands, 50,000, yeah, maybe you should stay put and pay that money off. But they're dropping that to like $2,500. When we are the hardest hit in, bad economic times, recessions, things like that, $2,500 may be 3 months of child support for some people. They will revoke your privileges to travel internationally, even if you've been paying for like 15 years consistently. But in this economic climate, if you unfortunately are affected by job loss and all of that, and you fall behind $2,500, yeah, your passport may very well be revoked. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they were doing. Congratulations. I remember when you got it, Dante. I do remember that. Did your wife, she didn't have it, or you didn't? One of y'all got it at separate times, but I remember, I think, if I'm not confusing you guys. But yeah, there's a whole lot of plans that they have for us, and we just really need to stay awoke, even though they don't want us to, and stay ready. And whatever ready looks like for you, no judgment here, but just stay ready. And please have the conversations with these babies, and when I say baby, I'm talking about college years and under, because I could only imagine when I was in college, I was so oblivious to certain things that were really like hard rules of life. With the way things are now, with what this man has just said, have the conversations with them and tell them why you're having the conversations. Like I said, if I was to have a young child now going to school, I'd be like, listen, baby, I need you to put on a suit, carry a Bible with you. If somebody stops you, just here's some verses I need you to memorize. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I shall fear no evil, because thou art. These are Christian nationalists. You got to learn how to play the game. And again, take ego out of it. I'm dead. I'm dead ASS. I'm talking about the Bible right now. I don't want to curse, but at the end of the day, most times, the ones that's most successful is the ones that know how to master the art of war. And that's why I always talk to y'all about reading that book. And I'm not going to get into that now, but I am going to post tomorrow the schedule for the rest of the week. I am going to abide by that schedule. I promise you, 5 times this week at minimum to catch up. And just do me a favor. Like the video, share the contents of the video. I don't even care if you share the video. Like I said, I'm not a slave to no algorithm. I don't even care anymore. Like I do want you to like it, only because like-minded people like you, it will get pushed out to. And I want you to comment in the comment section, because like-minded people. But I'm not in it for vanity numbers. I'm in it because if you heard that man's speech and really listened, the more people that know this information, the better we'll be. And building community is still a number one strategy for us as a people to be successful on the other side of this. And so we're almost at an hour. I didn't mean to be here this long, but I did want to come back and say, I missed you guys, Gym Nation. All you have to do to be part of the Gym Nation family is hit that subscribe button. You will be notified whenever we go live. Be sure, if you're new here, to catch up on some of the old videos, like the Stay Ready Playlist 1, Stay Ready Playlist 2. A lot of that information is still relevant. My OG Gym Nation, I appreciate y'all. Dante, Christine, LJ, Tabasco, seriously, and seriously, she's not OOG, but she's down with the cause. And I believe I owe you an email too. I have a list of people I still need to email. Welcome to the new Thoughts Optics. Unless you're new, unless you changed your handle, I think you're new. Did I say LJ? I think I said LJ already. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We will be back this week. I don't think tomorrow, but I will post the schedule. Maybe tomorrow. I have to look at my my calendar, and I will post the schedule tomorrow. So you'll have the exact day, exact time, and I will commit to be, I might be 5 minutes later, so I don't know, but but I'll be, as close to on time as possible. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and I will see everyone. Wait, more comments. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Christine. Yes, tell the peoples. Yes, yes. Thank you, Dante. I'm happy. I missed you guys as well. I need to get back in the group chat. But anyway, I'll talk to everyone this week. Well, next week, excuse me. Until then, have a good night. Bye.